Brixton for another very special panel, all things conversations, and tonight is all about celebrating the female girl gang. So tonight is about women who get stuff done. So if you're a woman, even fellas, come through. You're gonna catch a couple gems tonight. Let me introduce you to my incredible special guests, doing up partnerships and marketing over at Daily Paper. Can you give it up for Fatima, please? If you're looking for your senior strategist and also someone who is just the problem solver in the girl group, can you give it up for Bonita, please? We've also got the artist manager and the creative consultant on the panel tonight. It's Nikita! So we are ready to kick off this conversation, and I hear from the grapevine that something went down on the 1st of January 2023. Bonita, what was that?
The first?
Yeah. This is the question from Fatima to say, this is the inside.
Wow, the 1st of Jan, 2023. Wow. What went down? I was in Ghana.
Wow.
Living my best life.
Well.
I don't know what the tea is.
That's when we all came together on the 1st of Jan.
D24.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She did.
No. It's all coming back. Do you know what? Yeah, it was a day where we all came together, we spoke, we really chopped it up. And I think today we'll definitely share some insight from that day because it was just beautiful. It was the first day of the year. We were just thinking to ourselves, what do we want to achieve? What have we learned? So yeah, we'll definitely get into that today.
Okay, nice. I really feel like I've been added to the group chat with everyone. So let me come over to everyone and ask you, what do your jobs mean? What do you do? Because as women in the industry, I want to hear all the tea and all the gems. So Fatima, talk to me about Daily Paper, marketing and partnerships. What does your role involve and how did you even get there?
So, okay, so how I got there was, so I've been working in the industry for quite some time. And I think through my journey, I get to come across really wonderful people. As much as there's there's wins, there's lessons, but I get to come across lovely people. And one of those lovely people was basically Hussein. So I got connected with him. I wanted to find a way to support him. And it was always supporting with me. So essentially, when the opportunity came about, we obviously sat down and, he asked me to join. And that's how I got to Daily Paper, and that's how I got to Amsterdam.
Ooh,
so yeah,
amazing.
So it's been fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nikita, let me jump over to you because this energy you're giving right now is lovely. So you do artist management and a creative consultant. I'm guessing you do a lot. So how you juggle it all, but how did you get into your role as well?
How I got into it is the story is really long, so I'll give you the shortcut, which was basically, all I always say to anyone is there's never a straight path. There's swings, roundabouts, turns, left turns, everything, ups, downs. But I actually went to uni, did a degree in business and international finance. Didn't want to do that. So then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go study radio production. So I did that at Point Blank College. I thought I wanted to be a DJ and a presenter. Went to the BBC, actually had a mentor at the BBC. Long story short, got a job at the BBC as a freelance scriptwriter, then became an assistant producer, then became a producer for DJ Samtex and DJ Edu, flagship African music show, and then the hip hop show. And then it was 2018, and I was like, at the same time, I was managing another artist. I was managing an artist outside whilst I was at the BBC. I was sitting on the playlist team, I was doing all these things, and I was like, where do I go from here? Maybe I've hit the ceiling here as far as creativity goes. And I remember I was sitting in the studio with DJ Samtex and I was like, do I just do it? Do I just set up my own thing? And that's how Translate NC was born.
Wow.
And I'm so grateful for that journey because during that journey, I got to learn all these things. So that's how I ended up doing things like artist management, consultancy, PR, marketing, strategy. And what I realized is you don't have to limit yourself to one thing. I bet that even all of us can list about 5 things we do, but we don't realize we're doing it. And I bet everyone in this room can do that. So I don't think it's how do you do it? You just do it. We just get it done.
Yeah, we just said it. She said, let me tie it in with the title of the panel. You make a really good point about getting up and doing something and starting something, off your own back. So I'm going to come back to that. But senior strategist, and it's the chief for me, editor-in-chief. Tell me, what do those roles mean? What do they look like on a day-to-day? And how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, so senior strategist, essentially just providing strategic solutions for clients. And then also editor-in-chief, again, editorial. When it comes to the platform, so I'm Mula, when it comes to the platform, basically looking at its voice, its tone, what kind of content we're putting out there. And how did I get there? So I was a corporate girly, studied business management, masters and BA. And I said to myself, okay, cool, I'm gonna go into the corporate world. I'm gonna boss it. So I was doing all of that, and I thought, do you know what, I've got more to give. And I thought to myself, actually, I don't want just a 9 to 5. I want to do more than that. So that's when I started dipping into the creative space. And then that's when I obviously met Imula, and I thought, oh, it's in Africa. I'm from Ghana. And obviously, being Ghanaian, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm going back to my roots. That's what I want to do. So yeah, I juggle being a senior strategist and also editor-in-chief. So yeah, so once I close my laptop, 9 to 5, the rest of the hours, I keep going. But how I got there was just, I always want to learn new things. I'm always looking for something new to learn. And as a strategist, that's your job. You stay ahead of the curve. So I think I've done that in my career and also my personal life, and that's how I got there.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about things that you've taken from work, then also into your personal as well. And it's so funny you mentioned radio, because the first time I got invited to do the main breakfast show, I was working at a radio station that I'm not working at now, but they said to me, we would love for you to come, you're killing it, you're killing it, you're killing it. We're going to pair you up with this guy, you're going to be the girl on the show. We want you to come through and giggle. Giggle. I said, giggle! Oh, fantastic! You want me to get up this early in the morning to come and giggle? I said, okay. But I just wanted to ask you guys, have you ever gone into a position as a woman and you've just been shocked? You've just been shocked by maybe the expectation of you or the lack of you in that space, and what have you done to overcome it? Because I said, you know what, let me giggle for 2 weeks. Let me learn the buttons. Let me learn, the minute Swarzy's kikiing too hard that everyone else is like, oh, she could probably run her own show at this point. So we give thanks. But have you ever been told something as foolish or as wild as just come in as a woman and giggle, whatever giggling looks like in your industry?
Yes. I think the most tangible example was, I think during my career, there's always been, obviously we've all kind of, some of us have kind of gone through the corporate ladder, right? And essentially, the most junior you are, the more you kind of just obey and just be like, oh, okay, cool. But deep down inside, you've got vim. You're like, what do you mean? What do you mean you want me to be in this room and just take notes? Or for the sake of the conversation, it's like, what do you mean you just want me to just agree with either opinions that I don't agree with, or like things that are don't really sit well? So for the most part, I've always been a bit like, okay, cool, similar to you. I'll keep key, I'll do what I need to do, but then trust and believe the moment I have an opportunity,
Facts.
It's just, I'm gonna be in there and be like, actually, this is the situation and this is so on and so forth. So yeah, I always find my ways pivoting, especially when there's a room, and especially when you don't have loads of people around you. It's just you don't know who to kind of trust and whatnot, but it's all about just finding that opportunity and that gateway and just being yeah, boom.
Yeah, I'm gonna pivot. Yeah. Go, yeah.
I was going to say, it's interesting you say that, because I remember one of my early experiences in management, I was told, you shouldn't have that conversation because they're not going to listen to a woman. And this was a man saying it as well, and I was like, you know what, great, stored, remembered. No one's ever going to talk to me like that again, because I don't know how to explain it. Like you said, you pivot. I did the whole thing, I play my role, whatever, that's cool. But no one's going to have the comfortability to ever say that to me again. Do you know what I mean? Because I've always gone by the thing of when you enter a room, you don't enter the room as oh, you're a female presenter, oh, you're a woman marketer, you're a woman editor-in-chief. No, I'm an editor-in-chief. Right. I'm a presenter. I'm strategic marketing. Do you see what I mean? And I think that's what I just took from it as first of all, I'll play the position. No one's going to be able to talk to me like that again or feel comfortable to do so. And thirdly, I want to make sure that it's not, if I'm in the vicinity, no one can talk to another woman like that.
Yeah. That's what, exactly. Bonita, what were you saying? You've been in places. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a rebel from the start.
Oh, give us the rebel stories.
I've been a rebel. When I think of my career, being firstborn, you're raised as firstborn. What you say goes. So I went into the corporate world like that. I was like, yeah, this is what I think and this is what I'm going to do. And what I found interesting was a lot of the time, no matter what I said, it was like I was invisible. And I think it got to a point where I realised, actually, I just said that. You said that after me, but you've been listened to. I started to realise, what's different between me and that person that's been listened to? And I realised very quickly that I had to bring my own seat to the table. I didn't care who was in the room. You would hear me. But what I did was I always made sure if I spoke, it was profound. I'd be very quiet. And then when I did speak, I'd speak and be like, I had to make sure I just knew that, I didn't have that privilege of just talking rubbish and people were like, yeah, great. I had to actually make sense. So I think for me, very quickly I learned, I remember one time I was having a conversation with a CTO and he went to me, oh, you're very confident, aren't you? And from that day, I realized, I I get what this is. I said to him, yeah, I am. Does that shock you? And I think from that day I realised, yeah, there's some sort of vim. There's something in me that will never stop me. But yeah, from young, when it comes to business, I've always been a rebel. I've definitely had instances where I've been knocked down because I'm like, this is too much. Why do I always feel like I'm fighting? But I just thought, you know what? I know my purpose, and whether you like it or not, you're gonna have to experience me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say as well, then someone else takes credit for what it is you've said or the idea that you've placed, but because it's coming out of someone else's mouth, they're oblivious to you being even in the room.
Correct.
So in any stories where you've actually had the success moment, you've been credited, you've actually got your dues, you've got your respect down, you've had a moment where you're like, I know I'm good at this, but at this point, I've even been appreciated for the thing that I'm running, I'm doing effortlessly. Any success stories? Because I think as much as we talk about, these are the barriers that we face, I want to champion the stories that we've done and we've got through as well. So do you have any success stories along the way? You must have many. So.
Nikita, you start with this. You have to start with this.
Do you know what? Okay, this is the way I see it. I think it's all about perception now, right? It's got to a point where you can go through these things and it's like, I don't know whether you become like thicker skin to it or you're just like, you don't pay attention to it. First of all, like one of the best piece of advice I ever got was like, don't expect anyone to clap for you, regardless of who you are, where you're from, what you do, and just know your purpose and know your why. So that's what's kept me going. So now when you do, even like, okay, Bonita, Fatima, like sometimes when I do feel low, these are the girls that will bring me up. Do you know what I mean? And to me, that's worth more than like strangers clapping for me or anything like that, because this is a real, right? So, and I think that's where it is. It's that thing of learning at an early stage in my career that it's not about getting recognition, not about getting those things, but knowing your core. And then when you know that, that's what gets you through everything. But I think now I'm really grateful, and I say this all the time. I think I say this in every conversation we have, which is I'm so grateful for the people I work with and the people around me, because they show appreciation. And I think that's it. You just start moving in a way where it's like, oh, actually, success looks different. It's not about this or that. It's about, oh, you know, the thank yous from the teams and the acknowledgement and this and that. And it's the small things that actually make the bigger things even worth it. And I think, I always say it's really funny because something great could happen. I don't know, for example, you could go to an amazing event or an award show and it'd be like, oh my God, how was that? I'd be like, you know, it was really good. And I wish I was more in the moment because my head's already onto the next thing. And she's laughing because she knows. She knows I'm just like, oh yeah, that happened actually. Yeah, okay, cool. But what I'm thinking about is and it's like, I know I'm not going to change that. Like, it's always on to the next thing, and I kind of don't want to. I think if you pay too much attention, I do think it's good to kind of have a reminder of like, yeah, this is what you've done, and that can come from your peers, the people you work with, people you love, people you care about, or, you know, sometimes even today, just before this, a friend of mine in New York mentioned me in an article, and I was like, oh my God, like, you don't expect it. But it's that thing of like, you have to, a lot of it has to come from within to when you get to a point and when you receive it, it means so much more, but you're not holding on to it and it doesn't hold you. Do you know what I mean? But I think for me now, success is that I can be like, actually, there's so many more things I want to achieve, but right now I'm very grateful and fulfilled by the people that I have around me, and now we're building up to something bigger. Like doing this with you guys, like that's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that really resonates with me because I think a success story for me was I joined iMula and became editor-in-chief, and my job was to basically build a team with the founder and also change the voice of the entire brand. And I think why that was a success story for me, because now I look at the brand and it's grown and it's amazing and it's developed so much more. I think to myself, that was a big moment for me because I was able to see that success with my own eyes. I think a lot of the time when people clap for me, I don't accept it. I always think, oh, I can do better, or this is just the start. But I think why that was a real success for me was I was actually able to sit back and actually acknowledge myself that, yeah, I did that. And I think that's the most toxic thing about being a woman that gets shit done. You just keep doing, and it's kind of just like, but you take a moment, you sit back and you think, I've done all these different things. And I think that's something that women need to get used to doing. Clap for yourself. Like now, I look in the morning, I wake up and look in the mirror and be like, you're that girl. Before I didn't do that. I just didn't do that. And I think it's really important because a lot of the time, what we don't realize is we're overlooked by other people and our peers, and we begin to do that to ourselves. And we need to realize that you're not invisible. People see you. When people ignore you the most, that's when they see you, I promise you. There's people that ignore me, but will be like, oh, you was just in Ghana. Yeah, I was. How did you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you just became editor-in-chief. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw in your bio, work at BMW. Don't follow me.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be so surprised how
Yeah,
they know you. They know who you are. So I think it's really important to shift the narrative from within. So I think for a very long time, being in the public eye, I seeked a lot of validation. You know, whether it was awards, whether it was articles, I seeked a lot of validation. It got to a point, I think it was COVID, I actually realised, no, I'm actually quite a private person, and I want to go back to that. And I think that in itself has been a massive turning point for me, because now I define what success is. No one does that for me. Yeah. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. It's so funny actually that everyone can resonate with, like, you're just on the go. You're just on the go, you're just on the go. And I wonder if, like, for the guys in the room, I don't know if it's the same for the guys, but you do have that thing of, like, I'm never quite done. Even when you're trying to put the bow on that project, you've already sent the proposal, the deck for the next one and the next one. So do you think that is a female thing? Is that a woman thing? Or is that just a go-getter thing?
Yeah, that's the most consistent thing with my friends. Like, when I tell you, like, it's literally autopilot, Like, going back to the original point of, like, oh, when have you had that kind of, like, point where you've had, like, oh, people clap for you, but it's just, like, more times, the fact that, I mean, especially for, like, if you're a black girl in this industry, it's like, being a woman is one thing, but being a black girl in the industry is another thing. So it's like, I find it hard to even, like, accept any flowers or anything like that. So it's like, I take joy from supporting my friends. And in fact, sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, no, actually, this is why I'm lit. Like, it's the girls that I'm rolling with, it's the people that confide in me, it's the people that actually call me up and like, oh, I've got this problem, I've got this scenario. Like, the amount of, countless hours that we've been on the phone, like, and, just sleepless nights that we've just been trying to give each other advice. And that's kind of like where it's such a beautiful kind of thing. But in terms of being a go, 100%, that's like all of my friends. Yeah. Especially when they were, like, between Nikita, is like, I'm like, yo, I have to call her and tell her. I'm like, that's sick, She's like, which one?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, like, you're right. Like, I've just commented on your thing. And she's like, oh, yeah, but babe. So basically, and then you can hear her nails, like, click, 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 on the phone. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I just need to finalize this press release. And I'm like, bro.
Yeah, it's so true.
But this one is another one. Like, she's no, honestly, like, every day she's like, oh, enjoyment, but I'm like, oh, I don't even know what to, I have to literally remind them as to the accomplishment that they did, because it's just autopilot. And ironically, I know I'm just as bad. So it's just like, that's why I'm like, it's a commonality between all my friends. Yeah.
But this is the thing, so right, we were in Amsterdam towards the end of last year, Boiler Room, Guilty Beast, and we walked into it was an Adidas store opening in Amsterdam, right? And you walk in and there's a collaboration with Daily Paper and the football team that I can't pronounce the name of because I always get it wrong. But I was like, that's it, Ajax, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Right, so you walk in and you've got these mannequins wearing the clothes and you've got all this happening, and I was like, you put together this collaboration, New York, Dreamville, you're making those things happen. And, when you talk about, like, success, I think having friends like Fatima and Bonita within this, because we had a video shoot last year for a video for one of my artists, and I know why she's laughing, so we've got a video shoot happening, and, like, we've got this treatment and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and we did a pop-up at Daily Paper store. So we were there, and one of the things was in a store. So it was for the Mine Alone video, Show Them Camp and Oxlade. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
It's a really, really good video.
Really great, and the scenery, yes. So, no, I rang Fatima and I was like, look, I have a favour. And she could hear my voice, and it's that thing, like, I think one commonality we have is we hate asking for things. So I rang, I was like, I'm really, really sorry to do this. Please, can we shoot at Daily Paper? And she was like, yeah, oh my gosh, of course. And the shoot was running late. We were there till like 10. Like, I remember going to the store before the cast and the crew got there, knocking on the window. I was like, can you come out and play? And she opened the door and we're setting up and, like, getting food ready. But we were there till, like, I don't know, 10, 11. And I was like, thank you so much. And it was like that thing of people who show up. Do you know what I mean? It's not about just getting things done. It's like you appreciate the people that show up and are there for you, because out of that came a amazing video, and then afterwards you all went for drinks, and it was a moment, because from that moment it was like, this is because of what we do, we've met incredible like-minded people that mean that we can elevate. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's that thing of, like, as much as like we have amazing women, we have amazing just networks and everything around us. But I do think Fatima sometimes doesn't even look, or Bonita will be like, yeah, do you know what, I did that? And then you have to be like, oh my God, do you know you put this together? And did you do that? So you're just as bad, but it's I suppose,
You're terrible. You're terrible.
But they say like, you don't want to fall in love with the end result, do you? Because you're always on to the next thing. And that's why this whole life thing is like a journey, getting a bit philosophical now, but you know, it's a bit of a journey and it's never gonna stop, but it's good to have people around you that you can appreciate it with. And sometimes looking back on that, the challenges, I'm so grateful for every challenge because you wouldn't be at this 100%. Point.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. And also we're not separate from the people we grow up around. So I'm sure we can testify to the aunties and the mums and the sisters, like the family unit. And one of the questions you just brought up was like, how good are you at asking for help? Because you see your mum and you just see your mum go boom, 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 boom. You know, she's raising kids and she's going to work and whatever, and she's got sisters and she's got family. And I think that sometimes translates well into the jobs we do as freelancers. But sometimes in corporates, no one is out here asking for help. They're not even on email. My guy will sit next to you, and they will not ask you for help. And I'm like, fam, I'm literally here. So how good are you at asking for help in your jobs?
Terrible.
Really?
Ask who for help.
Ask who?
Do you know what?
She's like,
No, I don't like to ask for help. It's a toxic trait.
Why though? Have you been burnt when you've asked for help? Have you not got the help when you've asked for it? Where's that come from?
So I think it's a few things. So number one, I'm firstborn, so I get it done. So it's like a natural thing that happens. Number two, I'm a strategist. So if someone says something, I think, nah, I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have done it this way. So I just end up doing it. Three, by the time I've explained it, I could have done it. I just feel like there's just so much work that goes into helping. But I think what's really interesting is I'm very quick to help others. I'm very, very quick to help others. And I think it's because I know what it's like to not ask for help. So it's weird, I should take my own advice, but I definitely feel like when you're someone that gets it done, you just think, if I ask so-and-so for help, I'm gonna have to explain it 10 times. And I don't know, it's such a weird phenomenon, but I'm always right. It happens.
You see, that's the end part. You thinking you was, I don't know what it is, because you said a couple of times, you're the firstborn. I'm the firstborn. So it's this idea of like, what do you mean? I can do it. Because in this life, my mom, I'm the first, like, you're literally second in charge in your household.
Yep.
You're second in charge in your household. I'm out here, why am I speaking to the council at at a young age? Yeah. So for me, from the time I'm having to deal with bills and like the council and just having to be the mediator between the parents, and you've always been the first in line to do everything. Yeah. So in your professional life, that's no different. So when I walk into a room, more times I'm like, cool, I hear everybody, what everyone's saying, but I'm like, yeah, actually, about that part, and then you always find a way to kind of bring people together. But in terms of asking for help, it's a bit of an ego thing. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, no.
I was gonna say, is it pride? Is it a healthy pride?
No, I don't think it's healthy. But it could be pride, and it's supposed to be installed.
But it served us.
It has. It has. However, we have to acknowledge.
Okay.
We have to acknowledge that there's always times where we're burnt out. We're really, really burnt out. And with us, ours isn't burnt out, it's burnt out. Because when we're usually burnt out, we still keep going. Yeah. It's when we really hit rock bottom. And I think for me, that was a way, I think COVID actually made me realize I was in survival mode for too long. Now I'm a soft babe, soft life. I had to realize, no. The whole world's come to a standstill. And I think COVID saved me. It really did, because I came out of survival mode. And I realized, actually, in order to be my best self, I have to be rested. I have to have a clear mind. And if I'm not rested and I'm always in survival mode, how am I gonna do that? So I think what's really interesting is, a lot of the time, we lean on each other when we're burnt out. But I'm still working on it, because I still don't ask for help.
Yeah. I was just going to say, because even the last time, shouts goes out to Mags. Mags, I know you're going to watch this, but Mags started, one of my girls, she started a Black British book series called A Quick Ting On. She's amazing in the publishing world. And I did an exhibition at the Barbican, And you know that burnt out feeling? It's 3 a.m. My bed is calling me, but I'm like, I've got to send off this proposal to the Barbican to get it through. They needed to print all the photos. I called up Mags. Why Mags is up at 3 a.m. probably doing the same thing, right? I said, Mags, please, could you read everyone's bios? Could you do the spell check? Because you know sometimes common names, John Hall, but there will be one letter missing and you're thinking, how did I it's 3 a.m. Swarzy, you're tired. And so she said, of course, I'll help you. Similar to when you guys are like, can I shoot something at Daily Paper? The immediacy of, yes, it's not even a question. It's not even a question. My girl not even just read it. She sent it in the PDF format with the bleeds around it, ready to go to the Barbican. And I thought, Swaz, if you actually ask for help, your life doesn't need to be 3 a.m. blitzing sometimes. So I just think, what you were saying about being, I'm also firstborn. Are you firstborn?
Only child.
Oh, well, you are firstborn also, so we should change this to firstborn's getting it done, yeah. But the idea of just asking for help. So, swerving into that question of role models then, who you've looked up to, who's really made that impact in your life. As a woman, who stands out for you in your mind?
My mom.
Yeah.
I was gonna say my aunt is like, it's so funny because Alma is here and Nadia, who met my auntie, I call her Bua, and she'll hate the fact that I'm doing this like here now, but she's someone who I remember when I was very little, she was at university and then she'd come home on the weekends and I'd look up to her and I'd be like, oh my God, you're little and you're like, oh my God, she's amazing, she's so cool. And then when I see her and how she approaches work and life and everything, and she's so pragmatic, but she's also so caring and she just gets stuff done, that she's always inspired me, like on so many levels. And even now, like I'll go to her for advice, like I'll be like, oh, this thing has happened. And it could be so small, it could be so big. And her approach is very like, well, hang on, let's break it down. Yeah. But what I find is I can do that for other people, she can do that for other people, but we can't do it for our own. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that perception thing. But going back to asking for help, something I wanted to add was that, you know how you said you rang your friend and she did it for you? What I'm learning is about finding the right people to ask help from. Wow. So I used to be very much get everything done. If we're doing an event, I'll print the flyers, do the posters, do this. Now I'm like, no, I know the person I can trust to do this. Yeah. Or because there is an art. People call it delegation. I don't know, whatever the word is for it. But I'm like, I've got to find the right people to trust to do this. And that comes with time. But it takes trusting. I think trust is a bigger issue. What you were saying, like, can you might as well just do it yourself. Yeah. I'm really learning, trying not to do that and trying to be a bit more patient. Because I don't have patience.
I'm going to flip my question actually because you answered it so beautifully about your role model and also what they've taught you. So you mentioned your mum, looking up to your mum, and what has she taught you?
Resilience, man.
I was going to say, yeah.
Like resilience. I can't... Also, undeniable one-liners. Like, I swear down, like my mum is like in this, like, she's just like, did I come from the ground? And that is literally my approach when it comes to like someone saying something absurd. Like, it's just... her resilience to how she's able to pivot, just overcome the most insane situations, right? And constantly adapt, right? Like, she's never been the type of person. My mom's also big on tough love. Like, I think as Somalis, Somali women are just tough love. Like, they don't do none of this, whatever. They will tell you what it is, how it is, and that's just what it is. Like, it just end of. So I think that, and my mom and my aunts and just kind of just my entire community of like women around me have made me who I am, and now I feel like I'm a magnet to other women that are just absolutely resilient, just get shit done and just have this undeniable will to persevere.
Yeah,
persevere.
Love it. Patience, resilience. But what about yourself? Who's your role model and what have they taught you?
My mum. Yeah. I think no matter what happens, she's going to find a solution. And I think that's how I've now become like that. No matter what, I'm delusional. I will find a solution.
She said strategist, aka delusional. So
yeah. So I feel like it's resilience. And the same thing. My mum, tough love. I feel like now, she tries to be all soft. And now I'm the tough one and she's the soft one. I'm like, hold on.
What is this?
It's crazy. Because now I've become the tough one, she's become the soft one. I'm like, what's going on here? But it's funny because I feel like I've become the younger her. And it's really interesting to watch. Because I feel like when I was younger and I'd see her like, doing her thing, you soak all of that in. And I think a lot of the time, first of all, God. I always know that, you know, when I'm pushing through something, God's always by my side. But sometimes when I do something, I think, like, you know, where did I learn that from? And I'm always like, nah, it's just me. And I think, nah, it's my mum, definitely. So I think it's resilience. And like, you know, yeah, resilience. I think that is actually the word, just being resilient. And I think, I would say, not allowing anyone to define who I am to me. So I think that's something that my mum does a lot. She's like, actually, no, I think this and this is what it's going to be. So I think definitely just self-belief. Self-belief, 100%, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm going to go with my mum. Shouts to Mumsy. But I'm going to go with my cousin, actually, for this question. Shouts goes out to my cousin, Stephanie. Stephanie, fam, she took me to carnival when I was a youth, yeah? And she taught me how to squat and go toilet. I just want to say these things, yeah, because you will never find these things. On these panels, you're like, oh, you know, all the answers are great. But now as a woman, when you go to these toilets and they're like, ugh, I remember my cousin was like, you do this and you hold yourself like this. So she taught me to squat, which is a life lesson that I've carried through to this day, which, do you know what I mean? You hear it, these life skills. But she also taught me the bars to Nelly and Kelly dilemma. And please say that with him. So now when I go into radio, I didn't realize that she was like, you can rap the parts as much as you can sing them. And all of that to say, you don't have to be the girly girl. You can do the bits that show the other side of what it looks like to be a girl and not feel a type of way. And now what? I'm doing radio. I'm nearly playing Dilemma every Saturday morning. So, and I'm like, Steph, you know, I'm rapping Nelly's part. She's like, you better be rapping Nelly's part because I haven't time to babysit you. So I think, yeah, what you said about not denying who you are, all facets of yourself, and the one day you want to be the Nelly part and the next day you might be Kelly Rowland's part, it doesn't matter. All of those parts come together to make a Swarzy. And then you go to carnival and know how to go to the toilet at the same time. So yeah, so we've gone back. You've looked at who's inspired you. If you were to inspire yourself, your past self, your younger self, say you're talking to yourself as a younger sister, now in the jobs that you do, maybe you didn't even study a GCSE in marketing and partnerships. Maybe we didn't do GCSE radio, I definitely didn't. But think about the world in which you work and the skill that you use on a day-to-day. What would you say to your younger self to encourage her to be like, this is the woman you're going to become and you're going to get stuff done, but you need this skill from today?
Have no fear or doubt. I think that's one thing that I struggled with early on. Like, doubt, like I would say, like, your mind is your greatest asset, but the most lethal weapon, right? As well for yourself internally, because your thoughts are things. And like, so I would say to little Nikita.
And what was little Nikita like as well? Was she doubtful? Was she?
Oh my gosh, she was so shy. She was painfully shy. She was not very, yeah, I know. Yeah. No, painfully shy, comfortable like within family settings, but you would merge into like, maybe should be like behind the screen right now. Do you know what I mean? Or like just not want, no, and it's okay. Like it's that thing of like, but it took me life lessons to get thick skin, to become confident. Like my mentor at BBC, Adele Cross, when I was there, who, yeah, you know,
shouts to Adele.
Adele's amazing.
We're talking about Adele. She's someone who gets stuff done. So yeah,
so Adele. So she was producing Trevor Nelson at the time, right? And I was like, oh my God, Trevor Nelson, MTV. Oh my God, right?
Uncle Trevor.
I bought a CD.
I swear, yeah. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, Trevor Nelson's producer. I remember meeting Trevor. I was like, oh my God, and I was shy. And I remember saying, you have to wear this confidence cloak. She goes like, so when you go into a room, you put the confidence cloak on and you fake it. Like, so you go into a room and maybe you meet one person and the next time you go meet two people. So it was life lessons, but I do think it's like having doubt and fear. And I know it's like one of those cliche things to say it kills the most dreams, most things that can happen because it is within, right? But I think I would say don't have any doubt, don't have any fear, and just go all out because, you know, everything's for the taking. Everything's for the taking. I think the reason I would say that is so that maybe you wouldn't have been as shy, but I'm grateful because I can see that in other people now. So do you know, so going back to patience and things like that, I'm like, oh, if somebody had taken a little bit of time to do that, maybe, do you know what I mean? So it's just made me a bit more like wary of that. But yeah, Adele's words stuck with me. Like, I don't even know how to explain it because now people are like, oh, you used to be shy, you? And I'm like, yes, I used to be shy, yeah, you can't believe it, da-da-da-da. It sounds like someone else. But yeah, I did, shy, like so full of doubt, fear, like, and even now when I catch myself being like, what, and you guys have probably seen this, but what if this happens and what if that happens? And then it's like, they're giving me those words, but in my head I'm like, I have to go home and be like, Nikita, what the fuck? You didn't come this far to only come this far and now get scared. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's that thing of like, you say Nelly and Kelly, it's really interesting. I was having a conversation with a friend today about, I hate this feminine and masculine energy, and they're like, you can tap into both. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, well, you should be able to. A few weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago, we went to view a venue with some friends, and I remember the next day, Bonita gave me a little like performance review. I love it. No, she did. She goes, oh my gosh, it's really weird seeing you in that work settings because you go into this energy that I think you need to. And I was like, you know what? I love you and respect you for saying that because I don't even know I'm doing it. Yeah. And maybe I do need to go into that bit more because that's what's got me this far and that's what's going to get me further. So yeah. And she's like,
you actually gave a performance.
She actually did. She actually sent me, but like it was, the text was so like, it was like
bullet points.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But they were like, you know, little paragraphs. Like, yeah. By the way, watching you yesterday. By the way, watching you yesterday, I saw da 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 da, and I think if you adopted this, and I was like, oh wow, like
psychoanalyzing.
Monday motivation. You don't even need to go read like a quote. Get a text from Bonita.
Yeah, literally. Can we have the texts, please? Can we go through?
I'll try.
What was your younger self like, and what advice would you give to her?
I'm a lot calmer now. Mm-hmm. I was wild.
Describe wild though, firstborn.
Couldn't tell me anything. What I said was right. If I said the sky was purple, it was purple. Mm-hmm. I was just, you can't tell me nothing. And I think what was interesting was I think it was when I went into a corporate space, I kind of lost that. Mm. And I think my younger self, what I would tell my younger self is don't bother with people that are committed to misunderstanding you. Some people are committed to not wanting to understand you at all. And it can be for different reasons, prejudice, et cetera, et cetera. But I think for me, my younger self, I was very like, I was just free. I was just happy. I was like, yeah, I think the sky's purple and it's purple. You know on MSN, do you remember MSN?
Oh, wow.
I'm not, before my day, that's before my day, that's before my day.
So MSN, I remember at college, we went to visit Bloomberg. And ever since visiting Bloomberg, my MSN status used to be CEO of Bloomberg.
Wow.
I believed it myself. Like, I was like, yeah. And everyone was like, what do you mean CEO of Bloomberg? I said, that's what I'm gonna be one day. And I just, whenever I think back, the other day I found a CV of, I think I was 16 years old. I wrote a CV and it said, in the future, I want to study business management, BA and masters. And I thought, I've done it. And it was like such a moment because I was like, oh my gosh, like I've done that. And I think for me, you know, when I think about growing up, I think a lot of the time I was so free and so happy because people protect you. So I always thought, no one's gonna ever try and dim my light. Like, who would want to do that? And I think growing up, being in a corporate space, I think one thing I would tell myself is, look, some people, they're gonna see your light, but they're gonna make sure they try to dim it. And how they do that is by trying to dumb you down and trying to tell you, I just don't get it, or you're not making sense. I think my younger self, I'll definitely tell my younger self, not everyone's gonna get you, and that's okay, but don't bother and don't put too much energy into those that choose to misunderstand you. Yeah.
That's great advice. Can I have that advice now, let alone my younger self? Let me take this one real quick. Fatima, what about yourself?
Interesting is...
What were you like when you were younger?
The thing is, it's like I think because I've always had to shift in between different situations and chapters in my life, I've always been quick to adapt. And more importantly, I wasn't shy, but at the same time, there was one of those kind of like, I'm gonna be something, I just don't know what it is. That's just what it is. I hear what you're saying in terms of like, I'm gonna be just manifesting, but it's like, honestly God, if you would have told me 10 years ago, not even like a teen, like 10 years ago that I would be here, I wouldn't have believed you because there was no clear kind of idea. I don't even know what this is. Right now, I wear so many hats, I don't know what it is. But I say that to say, what I would tell myself is essentially just kind of like, just take time. Just take time and enjoy it because in some way, shape or form, it's like I wouldn't take away anything that has happened in my career or my journey or the kind of situations, the things that have happened to me, because it's allowed me to be who I am right now. And now, similar to you, I can point out who's a bit timid in the room because I take the time to suss people out. And I also get to, you know what I mean? I'm also very headstrong, so I'm willing to go toe for toe. So it's just like, it's always been a case of, I've always been proud of who and kind of like the role that I've played within the different chapters of my life, and I think just enjoy it. I think I was too busy like trying to figure out that there was a blueprint, but the reality is that there is no actual blueprint. And similar to you, like for bands, every once in a while I go to like my sent inbox on my Google, just go back to like all the stupid CVs and like cover letters, and to me, I was just anyhow just looking for a career in PR, in media, and advertising, just because I knew that was what I wanted to get into. And then the icing on the cake is essentially like hip hop played such a big part in my life, like music plays such a big part in my life that more times like, I think I'm beefing someone all the time. So I'm just like, what do you mean? Like I'd walk in and be like, I'm gonna get this job because that's what, you know what I mean? It's like I'm public enemy number one, like I'm outside like pacing myself, like I'm gonna get this and that's what it is. And if I don't, I'm like, well, you know, bun you lot then, whatever, like, I'm just gonna keep going because I knew I was gonna be something, I just didn't know what it is. So by God's grace, I've if I were to tell something to my younger self, is just take time and just enjoy it a little bit because, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, go on.
Now, as I say, hip hop, let me tell you something. I don't know if you do this. I know we talk about music and playlists and vibes all the time, but hip hop, I will tell you, if I'm feeling like sorry for myself or having a pity party day, I put on a hip hop, love it. Because it's just like, what?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah, like what is going, no,
100%.
that's just like a little gem. If any of you are feeling a little bit sorry for yourself, put on a hip hop playlist.
Yeah. Someone, I'm about to fight someone, I just don't know who.
Could be anyone, could catch his hands, boys.
Yeah, calling council, like, you know, eating council, like, what's up?
You need a little bit of a boost, hip hop playlist.
Yeah, heavy.
I love that. And funny enough, just to squeeze it in, Blueprint was the name of my youth group. So you saying about wanting to find the blueprint, I went to a youth, when I was 14, I became a Christian. And the youth group that I went to was called Blueprint. And every Monday we'd go to this drama and you would like go back to back on this, like making a drama, and whoever won the battle, this is really doing Nick Cannon energy on a Monday, you'd go and perform it on a Friday. But obviously so-and-so would lose their homework, have to stay back in detention, so-and-so get detention, firstborn have to look after the younger. So now you're playing mum, dad and dog in this one drama and you're improvising, you're thinking on your feet, you're doing all of that. And if I could go back and just say, Swaz, invest in all those friendships, because those are the core people now. When we grow up, they're working at such and such. When I went for a job, Blue Peter called me up and was like, we think you're sick. Not Blue Peter, not Blue Peter. Yeah, I have. Very briefly, they called me up, I did the interview, I did the audition, and I smashed it, I killed it. I said, yo, Swaz. And my mum's like, yo, I'm going to move to Manchester. They were like, cool. The team was like, yeah, cool. The next day, they called me, they were like, yeah, Swaz, we loved your interview, we loved your audition, but you didn't get the job. I said, oh, my little heart. I said, what do you mean I didn't get the job? They said, you tick all the boxes, but you didn't get the job. And you know what my friends did? My friends started sending me bare things that I've done before. Swaz, you're sick, you know. Don't let it dim your light. And all of these people were from 14 years old at Blueprint Youth, where we were coming up and doing dramas and doing whatever. So funny you should say about Blueprint and not finding the map for all of it. It's almost like that encapsulates where you were at that age, and to just throw yourself into those people. Because as you've just done beautifully throughout tonight, you've picked one another up to say, remember when you called me and told me this, or you remember when you sent me the paragraph to say
the performance review.
That's it, the performance review. Like, if you ain't got friends sending you performance reviews and having your back, I think as women, sisterhood is so key. So thank you so much for such a beautiful conversation, guys. Like, thank you. It doesn't end here though. Ladies and gents, we're doing up Q&A, but first of all, can you give a round of applause for my special guests? This is the part of the night where we hand it over to you guys. And if you're watching online and you want to drop two comments in the comment box, please do. We love to bring you in as part of the conversation. Does anyone have a question? It can be an absolute like curveball question that you heard someone say and you're like, oh, I'd like to know more about that. Or it could be a complete fresh question that you're just like, yeah, this is sick. We want to know X, Y, and Z. So, because I got bare questions, but I'm conscious of time. So let me open to the floor.
First of all, thank you so much. Like, this was such an engaging conversation, and there were so many gems. And for me, there's so many take-homes as well. It's really inspiring to see lots of different women in different positions. What would my question be? My question would be, we spoke about speaking to your past selves, but if you'd like throw forward to like your 60-year-old self, what would you tell yourself now? What does the Nikita, the Fatima, the Bonita, the Swaz like need to hear right now to say, cool, you're at this level now, what do you need to get to the next level?
Help others. I think when I think of myself now and I have conversations with other black women, sometimes they feel like older black women are gatekeeping from them. And that's a whole conversation in itself. So I think to help others, don't think just because you've made it, you're above anyone. You have a story, you have a journey. And you don't know, you just don't know what seed you could plant in someone else. So I think it would be to just help others. You know, 60, I'm hoping I'm retired by then, living my soft life. So I want to be able to just use that time to just feed back into the community because I just think it's so important. So yeah, to give back, not to forget to give back, yeah.
Yeah. 100%. There's this thing as well, right? Because like I don't know how I don't know about you guys, but like when I first started, yeah, I had like a really shitty, I hope I can say, shitty kind of experience with walking into a space and seeing that other black girl and going, and then gatekeeping. And so I promised from literally 10 years ago, I promised never, ever, ever to be like that. And if anything, always pass back, right? And that is going back to listening just constantly. And it just so happens that throughout my journey and throughout the chapters, I've always been able to, again, be the magnet of other dope women and other dope boys and girls, just in general, people that also have that same vision of like, just wanting to, be there for each other. I have no business in production, but if she wants a space and if, you know what I mean, if Nikita needs me to be up and proofread something, cool, no problem. If Bonita wants me to brainstorm with her and just like figure out some shit, that's what we're gonna do. And essentially, now that I feel like, I'm in my 30s, so I'm halfway through it. The aim of the game is literally to just keep practicing what I'm preaching, because when I want to tell my grandkids is what I'm doing now. Like, I always gave back, I always supported, I always looked out, because without the community that you bring in, then you're literally, the exact same person that you said you wasn't gonna be. So that's what it is. That's what I would say. What about you?
I think you kind of, a lot of things you've spoken about, I think, resonate heavily. And I think I've said this before, and it is that thing of, you just said it, like, I've been in numerous situations with women from different backgrounds and similar backgrounds who have made me feel uncomfortable. And it's going back to that thing where I said, if I'm in a vicinity, just as a man said to me, oh, you can't have that conversation. No, but that I don't want to be that person. So I think definitely that stands heavy. But I also think something you said earlier about enjoying what I'm doing now, because I don't as much as I should, but I'm trying. Do you know what I mean? Because it's always like, oh, I can't, because got to do this, got to do that. And it's like, before you know it, all these moments that you build up to and you go through, you weren't even present in them. And that's one thing I'm really trying to learn not to do. So I would say just being present, like being here, like listening, not thinking about, after this I've got to go, no, it doesn't matter, it's going to get done. But what's happening here and right now. So yeah, being present and like enjoying every moment.
Yeah, like faith, because I think I can often take for granted that I've even got till 60 to go to. Like, it's by God's grace that the Lord keeps me here. And I think everything that I've done throughout this whole job is so competitive, it's so fickle. And if I lose myself and my satisfaction in all of these things, the minute the rug is pulled, the minute BSTN, I love you, but you may drop me tomorrow. One extra may not give me my job tomorrow. Like, if all of my identity is in those things will come and go tomorrow. And what am I then? Am I not a presenter? Am I not good? Am I not where is my foundation? And so just to spin it back to like something I was reading this week about Moses, like we give thanks for baby boy Moses in the basket, but actually Pharaoh was like, go and kill all the baby boys. And the midwives, there's a midwife called Pua, and she was like, we can either listen to Pharaoh, and if we don't listen to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's gonna come for my neck and be out, we're dead. And she was like, it's more important to obey the Lord than it is to obey the king, to obey Pharaoh, to obey the CEO of whatever company it is. And you know what's so crazy? So it's a real rant, but like, because she obeyed the Lord and she saved the boys, the word says she was given a family of her own, which implies she was a midwife that was not a mum. And how much she may have wanted to be a mum, but was, nursing other women, we give thanks for her. But because she was obedient, she got what she wanted. And so I just keep that in mind. Like, I do want those things. I do want the careers. I do want all of that. But what I really want is to please the Lord and obey him. And in doing so, all these other things that I'm asking for, they may be added onto me. If they do, they do. And if I touch 60 and I see it, we give thanks. But it's not the end. Like, my satisfaction is not in those things. So, yeah, I say all that to say, like, doing things like this. I didn't think we were going to be in BSTN doing panels like this. And then, the thing has been built and we were here in the early days and now it's here and we've got incredible women to talk about. So, yeah, every day is a blessing and not to take that for granted is what I'd say to my 60-year-old self.
My name's Kirstar and I'm a student studying fashion and I'm going on to uni to study fashion business and management. My question is, how do you build confidence? Because I want to be bosses like all of you girls here. So yeah, that's my question. I'm so nervous.
No, give it up for Kirstar, please. Let's go, Kirstar. Jeez. Just to even, it takes a lot of confidence to even do what you've just done. So like, heads up, man, that's sick. How would you build confidence? Any confidence tips?
That's my baby sister, so I'll let you guys answer
Oh, you have her.
I was just gonna say, the fact that you have Bonita. Killer weapon right there.
Okay, so you guys need to give her the soft explanation because she gets the tough one from me. So I'm gonna let you guys answer this.
So I'm gonna, you know what I was saying before, what my mentor said to me, where she's like, when you like put on a confidence coat, so you have to kind of fake it a little bit, but don't feel like you have to go into a room and be like, hey everyone. No, it can be little things. So for example, so you said you're in college now, right? So I don't know if you go to like, if there's any events or like community things, or when you go to those things, give yourself little challenges that nobody knows about. So maybe it's like you speak to one person in that room, doesn't matter who they are, what they do, but it's like it starts them becoming part of you. Do you know what I mean? So, because sometimes people talk about confidence and it being like this overnight thing. No, it's not. It comes with time. Just before the camera started and before all this started, I was like, Bonita, I'm really nervous. I was like, why do I feel nervous? But it's like we're all humans, right? And we only learn by practice and growing. So I would say, try it in small things, so it could be like a family event, or even with your friends. Like sometimes, you go meet a group of friends, and then one of them will have like someone you haven't met before. So it just could be so easy as just to go be like, hey, by the way, hey, nice to meet you, what's your name? And just doing it step by step. And it is that confidence cloak. And then before you know it, you'll be leaving the house without it, and you'll be doing your own panels and being bossing it within fashion and business and whatever you decide to do, but just step by step. So just what you did now, that to you, like, that's amazing. That's incredible because that's one thing you just done. So now next time you go in, you might not need to do a mic. You're just going to someone in the corner of the room and be like, hey, do you know what I mean? And it comes with just practice, and before you know it, you'll just be doing it naturally and your confidence starts building. But it's that thing, like, you know how I was saying about doubt and fear? It only took time and practicing and telling myself, I've got it. So just step by step. And you did it today.
Yeah,
Facts.
The other thing is, it's a constant progress. Like, I promise you, every single day, there's some days I'm not on it. There's certain days that I'm just like, no. And the thing is, when the element of like faking it, it's like, it's not even that. It's like, they don't know. Like, you can feel like shit. They don't need to know. They feel like they need to know. They need to know your business. The same way that they don't need to know about your surroundings. No one needs to know how your insides are and what you really feel, really, unless you want them to know. See what I'm saying? And that's where you can obviously share with your homegirls and so on and so forth. But for the most part, I promise you on everything, to this day. To this day. Like, it's real. It really is real. And the thing is, like, sometimes I'm like, the reason why I'm on autopilot more times is because I don't have the time. Like, I get overwhelmed. Like, I get overwhelmed. I like imposter syndrome is real, you know? But like Nikita said, and you know, from the time you come from a household like that, it's like, it's also like, have your own pace. There is no rush whatsoever. Granted, I've been saying, oh yeah, enjoy life and remember where you are and all of that, but it's like everybody, my mum has a proverb. She's like, every single finger has a position. So it's just like, take your time, yeah? Like, just don't be rushing for anybody or anyone. If you want to give yourself a little task, give yourself a task. If it doesn't work out, try again. Try again, try again. At some point, there's gonna see progress. But even when you get to that, there's still, it's still a thing. But example number one is you picked up that mic, you said what you needed to, you asked a question, and that's more times there's loads of people that wouldn't even do that. Yeah, so give yourself, shout out to you, man.
Yeah,
And just to add.
Oh. Yo, this girl, yeah. I swear to God.
Performance analysis. Just to add, I know you're talented, I know you're smart, I know you're intelligent. You know the lineage of women that you come from. So when you walk into a room, own it, okay?
Hi guys, I just wanted to say thank you. That was such a thought-provoking conversation, and it's so inspiring to be around such big bosses and women that get done. You know? But what I wanted to ask was, it was pretty much similar, but so you do collabs, like say Daily Paper, you do collabs, like you spoke with Amula and then you got your thing, and then you go into rooms and you just exude energy. So I just wanted to know, like, how do you combat, like, say if you're doing a collab, how do you combat going, oh, okay, cool, I need to make sure that I get this and this done without sounding like an idiot? Or like, for instance, say if you're in a room, do you imagine them naked? Or like, what's the strategies that you do to make sure you get that deal or you get that done, basically?
So I stand in the mirror and I speak to myself. Yep. So I'll stand in the mirror.
That just flew that. I'm just like,
Yeah. So I'll stand in the mirror and I'll be like, hi, I'm Bonita Saph. And I have the straightest face. I practice. Why I practice is a lot of the time when you're in those spaces, you're not even thinking. The nerves are like all over the place. So like, you know, it just comes out of your mouth. And when you practice and practice, you become perfect. You start having conversations and you don't even realize what you've done and what you've said. And it's because you've just, you know, just kept practicing. Like sometimes when I'm getting ready for something, I'll be like, yes, my name's Bonita Saph. Yep, so I provide strategic solutions. Like it's almost as if I'm acting. So sometimes when I walk into a room, it's like I'm acting. And first of all, pray. But, you know, always pray for guidance, because I think it's one thing to practice and walk into a room, but it's also very important to be able to be present, read cues, look around the room, and watch your body language. I'm a big psychologist. I always, you know, think about body language and how people sit up and how they walk into a room and how they command a room. So I think it's about practicing, looking in the mirror and getting, like, just feeling really comfortable, and realizing that no one else is you, you're you. And because of that, you can only provide the value that you bring because no one else is you. So yeah, practice, pray, and always remember that no one else can bring the value that you bring because there's only one of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Second to that. Every single thing that she says, times two. 100%, no, genuinely, that pray.
Yeah. Pray.
I can't stress that enough. Like, I like, if you deep it, your main character syndrome. So really and truly, it's like, everybody's acting. They're all acting, not you, because at the end of the day, this is your life, this is your reality, and this is what you know to be what life is, right? So more times it's like, so you know when you ask like, oh, do you think of them being naked? It's like, not really, but at the same time, it's like, it's just you're here. Everybody else is coming in for you.
Yeah.
Like, these are all amazing, like, supporting acts as far as I'm concerned, especially when I'm in doubt. No, sorry. Why? Because God positioned me to be in this room. And remember, if you cut them, they'll bleed. So they're all humans. That's it.
But don't cut them in the room.
I wasn't trying to prevent it. Paper cut.
But also as well, if they don't take your thing, it's cool, you know. Someone else will take it.
Okay.
Like so many times I've gone into rooms and pitched something and I just did a supper club, a web series, and I pitched it to the big podcast people, and they were like, no one will listen to your podcast. And I was like, okay. And I said, you know what, give me the budget, Canary Wolf, let's go and run it. I did it, shot four episodes. The same people who said to me, no, oh, what about season 2? I said, what about season 2? You told me no. So I think sometimes you just need to make it happen. And it's really empowering when you do without the help of someone, because you can prove to yourself, I knew this was gonna bang, I knew it was gonna bang. So if it's not the one brand or whoever, it may be the next one. So don't take it personally. But also go away and actually, I had to reflect, well, actually that deck, the end of my deck it was flaky. They were like, you ain't got this, that, and I said, oh yeah, it's true. That's probably why they didn't buy into it. But I was like, okay, let me go away. But it didn't stop the whole process from going ahead. So sometimes no's are not personal. And it's true about what you said about who may be committed to being misunderstood, but don't take it personally and just, keep going, man, because there's pagans in this world, man. You can make it happen, so.
But then also, like, you don't have to, so you know, like, practicing, one thing, actors always practice their lines, right? But they sometimes practice it like in normal conversation. So they're walking around the house and they're cleaning and they're doing this so it rolls off the tongue. Do that 100%. I do that. Like I'll be cooking and I'll be like, oh, okay, got this call. Okay, what do I have to cover? Write things down. Yeah. Write things down. Because remember, when you enter a room, just as much as you know, like Bonita hit the nail on the head, read cues. But sometimes cues can throw you off track. Yeah. So you have to I always say write things down or have your pointers in your mind if you can do that. But then also I always think we forget people buy into people. No one brand exists without people. So as much as there's these things, like there's gonna be, you can meet someone and you've gone in and you've got this whole thing and then you look at their shoes and you're like, oh, you wear Nike. Oh my God, did you see their new drop? And you know, are you into footwear? Like, oh, little things, but do it with your most authentic self. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Without having to compromise. And I think it's meeting in the middle of those two and just being able to adapt. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much, girls. Thank you.
What's your name?
Thank you. Kessia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another episode in the bag. So ladies and gents, please put your hands together for Bonita, for Nikita, and also for Fatima, please. I'm loving the whoops and the cheers all around. Well, thank you so much for locking in and tuning in. If you want to jump in with the conversation, leave your comments and your questions and all that good stuff in the comments. We would love to get back to you and love to have you part of the next panel as well. So thank you so much. And until next time, we are from the south, from the heart. We're in the BSTN London store. Take care. See you soon. Bye. Woo!